So the Atreyu, like the artist.
Welcome back to Stammer Run with me, John. Today we're going to be talking about the Rocket X2. Hoka, you've done a great job. So welcome back, and we're going to be talking about this in depth of the Rocket X2. I've taken this out again on about a 13-mile run. 10.5 of that was at a good pace, and the other 2 and a bit were a cool down pace. So let's get started. So my experience with Hoka has always been quite mixed. I've always thought of them as a really good brand, really well made shoes, really well thought out shoes. I love what they try to do across the range of their shoes. Now, so let's talk about the stats of this shoe. Talk about the midsole of the Rocket X2. It's a Profile X PEBA based foam. It is really soft, it cushions the ride. Some may find it too soft. There's a carbon fork plate that goes from the heel to the forefoot of the shoe. The shoe weighs about 8.3 ounces, 235 grams. The heel is 36mm and the toe is 31mm, giving it a 5mm offset. How does all that translate to being on foot? So let's start with the upper. This upper is a plastic weave, and as I've said previously, I still really like this upper. In fact, I love this upper. It's one of my favourite uppers. It does what you want it to do in a race situation. It's comfortable, it's light, it wraps around the foot fantastically. The heel counter, there isn't really a heel counter there, but there is padding towards the sides. It's really comfortable, it doesn't rub, it dissipates heat fantastically well, and the laces are perfect, the tongue is good. So this upper, there's nothing else I can really say about this upper other than it's absolutely fantastic. So the midsole is where it gets interesting. So this PEBA X foam is quite a soft foam, and it's definitely softer than the Vaporflies, the Adidas Adizero Pros. And when you combine it with that carbon fork plate, it's a very aggressive shoe. This is a shoe that doesn't want you to sit back. It wants you to get on the midfoot to the forefoot and really hit that stride. I found with this, so I took the shoe out on a run. I took it on a 10-mile run, and it was at a kind of everyday pace, kind of more of a up the pace slightly. So my heart rate was around 150, 152. I'll put the stats on screen. So not tempo, not an easy run, but just a good run, just to shake things out, just to see what this shoe can actually do. And the first time I took it out, it was where I was tired, so my form was sloppy. So when you go to the lateral or the medial side of this shoe, I've noticed that it does sink into either side, so you do get that really soft feel, which I don't like. It really wants you to really hit this shoe in that sweet spot, which is that midfoot to forefoot. And when you hit that sweet spot, that transition and this toe off and the spring's absolutely fantastic on this shoe. You know, when you're hitting the sweet spot over and over again, this shoe absolutely excels and it feels fantastic. When you get sloppy and you either go back to the heel, for me, or we go to the medial or the lateral side, it does tend to sort of sink down a little bit more than I would like. So this shoe definitely rewards really good form. I think if you do heel strike, I think you'll be absolutely fine in this shoe, but you won't get the best out of the shoe. It wants you to be on the midfoot to the forefoot and really spring off, and I think that's where this shoe excels. So you can heel strike. There's definitely enough of this foam. This foam is really comfortable, it's really soft, but to get the best out of the shoe, it's from midfoot to forefoot strikers. So one of my major concerns with this shoe was the outsole on this shoe and the rubber itself. So the rubber, I initially thought that even after one run it was wet, to be fair, and it was covered in all sorts of moss and dirt and that kind of stuff, and I just saw the tread on this. So there are patches of tread, and there's so much of this exposed foam that after my experiences with the Nike shoes, that they do wear away quite quickly. So the first thing I did see was I saw this mark in here made by probably like a thorn or a stone, and I thought, right, that's it, this will not last. Now again, I've taken it out and so I still don't think that it's the best outsole, but it's not the worst. I think it's probably a sort of standard, you know, carbon plate super shoe outsole, and I think it will last. So I actually take back a little bit of my concerns. I think if I've done about 50 miles in this shoe so far, and so far so good. And I think if it gets up to beyond 200 to 300 miles, then, you know, I think it then starts to justify that price point. So the run itself was 13 miles, 10 miles at a kind of harderish pace, but not too hard. So it's, you know, a nice comfortable run, which was 4:01 per k, and, you know, at that speed, you know, I felt that I had enough in the tank. You know, I felt at any point I could have gone quicker. I wanted just to be consistent and put some consistency down and just see how it felt for that, and it performed absolutely fantastically. You know, it definitely rewards good form. I concentrated on the form, and it just glided. It's an absolute joy of a shoe. It's absolutely fantastic shoe. You know, this is definitely akin to the Vaporfly. I think it can hold its own against the Vaporfly. And that's the Vaporfly 2. I'm not the biggest fan of the Vaporfly 2. It's just me. You know, I think that shoe doesn't necessarily. I just don't think I'm good enough for the Vaporfly 2 to be able to get the best out of that. And I'm not saying I can get the best out of this shoe, but I think this definitely, the softer foam, definitely with that aggressive play. I do quite like a shoe where you get on your forefoot to the midfoot, and, you know, this shoe definitely suits my style. So that 4:01 definitely could have gone quicker than that, but, you know, it was just such a comfortable ride. I really just enjoyed being in that space, and it was absolutely fantastic. Just such a good effortless shoe. So some final thoughts on this shoe. Hoka really surprised me with this shoe. I'm surprised they haven't come out with something like this before. The Celio is now out, so I'd love to try that shoe. If it's anything similar to this, I think it'd be fantastic. But they really surprised me with this shoe, you know, how good this shoe actually is. I think it's a very underrated shoe. I think that what this suffered from, because this now has been out for a good year, is that I think it came out along the same times as something like a Wave Rebellion Pro and the Fast R, you know, that kind of when they started to do some quirky things with the shoes. So I think all the publicity and all the eyes were on those weird shoes. But I'm going to say it now, this is better than those two shoes, and there's nothing against those two shoes. I love that Fast R. I think he's brilliant. I did my fastest 10k 35:40 something in the Wave Rebellion Pro. That was on a half marathon, so they're both really good shoes, but I just think this shoe is around that top tier shoe for me. I really enjoy this shoe. I think this foam in this shoe is fantastic. It's well put together. It doesn't stand out. It doesn't say, you know, I'm this great shoe. Apart from the colour, I think it's quite an understated shoe. It's absolutely fantastic. Is it worth the money? £220. I didn't pay that for it. I paid 110. I had a code for the 110. It's a bargain. For £220, if this lasts 300 miles, absolutely yes. I think you are getting a very good shoe. I think it's for a limited amount of people, because I don't think everybody runs from the midfoot to the forefoot, but to get the best out of the shoe, I think if you do that, I think you'll get the best out of the shoe. Heel strikers, you're okay as well. I think you'll still enjoy. I do think you will enjoy the shoe. So all I can say to Hoka is good job, because this is absolutely brilliant. On that note, please don't forget to like, favourite and subscribe. Comment below, tell me what some of your favourites are. Maybe an underrated shoe or an overlooked shoe, I'd love to hear it. And on that note, see you on the next one.